I'm filming images in this review on a Sony A7S in APS-C crop mode with a Metabones Mark IV adapter. The Canon EFS 18-55mm f4 to 5.6 IS STM is designed to cover an APS-C sensor only, and it will not cover full frame. This variable aperture lens cost me £95 used from a local camera shop. The lens comes with front and rear caps but no lens hood. The EW63C lens hood from Canon cost me £10 from eBay. The 18-55mm focal length makes this lens a general purpose walk around lens. Canon say the full frame equivalent focal length is 29-88mm. Marked on the barrel are 4 focal lengths: 18mm, 24mm, 35mm and 55mm. In my opinion, this lens is ideally suited for family events, travel, landscape and perhaps some portraits. The lens has a slow variable aperture, range from f4 to 5.6. Many reviewers claim this lens won't be ideal for low light image making. I disagree. I think this lens works great on my Sony A7S. The f4 aperture is only available at 18mm until 19mm. f4.5 begins at 20mm and ends at 34mm. f5 starts at 35mm and ends at 43mm. f5.6 starts at 44mm and ends at 55mm. Variable aperture lenses can be a pain for video, but at this price I can't complain. Please note that the lens barrel extends 2.5cm when zoomed into 55mm. The lens features IS or image stabilisation, which is rated at 4 stops by Canon. You do have a physical switch to turn the IS on or off. Here is a lens at 55mm with the IS turned off, and here is a lens with the IS turned on. I find the image stabilisation works great, and it's also silent for video shooting. The lens is made in Taiwan, so don't expect a Canon L grade build, and the lens is not weather sealed. The whole lens is made from high quality plastic, even the lens mount. I have no issues with the build quality, and the lens feels solid. Just like the other STM lenses, this 18-55 is a small lens and only weighs 215 grams. The filter diameter is 58mm and the filter threads are made out of plastic. The Canon 18-55mm STM is a focus by wire lens. This lens features an auto manual switch, but you can turn the focus ring at any time. The barrel does not extend when focusing. The focus ring turns smoothly, and one thing to note is that the STM motor is really quiet and can't be heard on a camera's microphone. While focusing, the front element doesn't rotate, so you can use a rotatable filter. This lens does have a small amount of focus breathing, which can look distracting. While not being a true parafocal lens, the STM drive actually adjusts the focus while the zoom ring is turned, and the lens does seem to hold focus. Autofocus is not a strong point of adaptive lenses, so I use this combo in manual focus only. If you're a filmmaker, you should be using manual focus anyway. No filmmaker that I follow uses autofocus. So how is the image quality of the Canon 18-55mm STM? I'm testing the image quality on a Sony a5100's 24MP sensor. At 18mm and f4, in the centre, the lens is decently sharp with good contrast and no chromatic aberrations. The corners look softer and show pink and green chromatic aberrations on contrasting edges. Top the lens down to f5.6 for slight improvements in the corners, but back in the centre the lens shows no improvement. Diffraction sets in at f8. At 24mm and f4.5, in the centre the lens is decently sharp with good contrast and no chromatic aberrations. The corners look softer and show chromatic aberrations on contrasting edges. Stop the lens down to f5.6 for slight improvements in the corners, but the centre shows no improvement. Once again, diffraction sets in at f8. At 35mm and f5, in the centre the lens looks decently sharp. The corners look a little soft with chromatic aberrations on contrasting edges. Stopping down to f5.6 doesn't improve the corners or the centre of the image. At f8, diffraction sets in. At 55mm and f5.6, in the centre the lens is sharp. The corners are soft, but the chromatic aberrations have now been reduced. Stop the lens down to f8 for further sharpness both in the centre and corners. I think your best bet is to film wide open with this lens, as stopping down shows no real benefit. Lens charts are one thing, but in real world images, I find this lens to be sharp enough and perfectly usable when shot wide open at any focal length. The chromatic aberrations have not been a problem in my video images. Now for distortion and vignetting. At 18mm and f4, the lens shows a large amount of barrel distortion. It looks pretty nasty to me. The corners look dark at f4, but step down to f5.6 for brighter corners, and at f8 the vignette goes away. When you zoom into 55mm and f5.6, the lens shows a very mild amount of pincushion distortion. The corners look a little dark at f5.6, but stop down to f8 for much brighter corners. The minimum focus distance is 25cm at 55mm, so you can get close to your subject. This lens features Canon's super spectral coating. When shooting into the sun, the flare doesn't look too bad. You can see some veiling, but I quite like how this flare looks. The 7 iris blades create floating-point sun stars, which are not very well defined. Now for bokeh. This variable aperture lens does not let in a lot of light. The rendition of the out-of-focus background is generally a little bit busy looking. The bokeh balls do have a little colour fringing and busyness, but I see no onion ringing upon close inspection. So to conclude, this is another fantastic kit lens from Canon. The 18-55mm STM is an ultra useful lens that covers a crop sensor at a bargain price. Yes, it's a plastic lens, but the build quality, small size, lightweight and price is great. The barrel distortion is poor at 18mm, but no lens is perfect, and considering that this is a kit lens, the performance is actually really good. I find the image in this lens to be perfectly usable when shot wide open, and I don't see any improvements when stopping down. Sony's answer to this lens is the 18-55mm f3.5 to 5.6 OSS. I own this kit lens which came with my NEX5N, but I thought the lens was rubbish and gave it away for free to a friend. So if you're after a general purpose lens that covers a crop sensor, has decent optical quality, is lightweight and doesn't cost a small fortune, then this Canon lens might be the perfect option. The Canon 18-55mm AS STM comes highly recommended. Thanks for watching.